From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordeau, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Monday, June 23rd.
Haliburton's hurt right away when he fell. Of course, that strained calf, he's in pain, so emotional.
Heartbreak for Tyrese Haliburton and the Pacers. An agonizing end to an incredible season. We have team coverage from our sports team in Oklahoma City and our reporters getting reaction here in Indianapolis. First, though, we are in a heat advisory for some dangerously hot and humid weather today, throughout the week. Meteorologist Ryan Morris tells you what you need to know.
Temperatures as we're going through this afternoon could be challenging record highs here in Indianapolis. 96 for our high, sunshine through the afternoon and evening hours. What this is not showing is our peak heat index. That's what factors in the dew point. So it's going to be feeling like the triple digits by the afternoon. 96 for the high here in Indy, 94 in Columbus, 93 in Bloomington. If we do make it to 96 for Indy, that would tie a record high for today. Record high is 96, set back in 1930. Over the next couple days, we'll eventually start to see spottier rain chances re-entering the forecast, but the heat's going to remain at least through the end of the week.
A storybook season for the Pacers comes to a painful ending. Tyrese Haliburton's first quarter Achilles injury, a devastating blow, especially since he scored 9 points in the first 7 minutes of Game 7 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. You could see the team surround him and his dad tearful in the stands. The Pacers hung tough, leading at halftime, but they could not hold on. The Thunder won Game 7, 103-91, marking the franchise's first NBA title since moving to Oklahoma City from Seattle 17 years ago. Now, Pacers fans are wondering what might have been had it not been for Haliburton's devastating injury. Our Anthony Calhoun and Andrew Chernoff were in the arena and saw it happen, then talked to the team about the painful moment and its aftermath.
What a heartbreak here in Oklahoma City last night as your Indiana Pacers came one win short of winning the team's and the city's first NBA championship. There were so many storylines in last night's game, but the biggest one, without a doubt, that really changed the outcome of this game had to do with the Pacers star Tyrese Haliburton. He gets injured with 5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Tie game at 16 apiece. We're told his Achilles injury, and that right there changed the entire game here last night.
You don't like using the word devastating injury. I feel like that's overused. This one, a devastating injury. Honestly, AC, it looked like he was about to have the game of his life. He had 9 points immediately, 3 three-pointers, and you could just feel the emotion from the players as soon as he went down. Everyone on the team walked over there. They knew it wasn't good.
They did say Tyrese spoke to the team at halftime. Obviously, he did not return in the game, and so the players were trying to play for him. Unfortunately, they could not get it done against OKC as they go on to win an NBA title. Afterwards, we talked to the players in the locker room, and no doubt they were thinking about their star, Tyrese Haliburton.
I mean, you never want to see a player go down, especially your own. It's such a big moment, I can't imagine how he's feeling. He's had an amazing run, to even get to this point, and for a thing like that, it's heartbreaking.
As soon as he went down, that hurt. I ain't gonna lie. I was thinking about it the whole game, and he's a great player. Sad to see anybody go down, but a guy like Ty, seeing him go down the way he did, he went out there and gave it his all.
It was a tough feeling to see your franchise guy go down like that. But to have to move on and kind of compartmentalize it is tough. We all are devastated for him and obviously support him.
Obviously, it hurts. It hurts because we couldn't get it done, and I wanted it so bad for him, and just because I know that, he gave us everything, everything he had, and it just hurts that he he couldn't see it through with us, but just incredibly proud of him and everything he's accomplished.
What happened with Tyrese is just all of our hearts dropped, but he will be back. He authored one of the great individual playoff runs in the history of the NBA. With dramatic play after dramatic play, it was just something that no one's ever seen. And did it as one of 17. You know, that's the beautiful thing about him. Our hearts go out to him.
And you heard it just right there from Rick Carlisle. There is no doubt that he is thinking about his star player in Tyrese Haliburton. And when you reflect on this season, and even with Tyrese, had a magical playoff run, one that I know Pacer fans will never, ever forget.
It's crazy when you look back in 25 years or so, let's say 30 years, you're going to remember the bouncing shot in New York, the game winner in Cleveland. Over and over, Tyrese Haliburton made magic happen. It just stinks. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to perform here in Game 7.
All right, coming up a little bit later, we got much more team coverage here from Oklahoma City of the Pacers' tough loss last night to the Thunder here in the Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Coming up later, we're going to talk about all the emotions surrounding this team falling one win short of winning an NBA title. Reggie, how proud are you of the guys?
So proud. I mean, that's an unbelievable effort to do what they did.
Pacer great Reggie Miller talks to sports director Anthony Calhoun after the Pacers' NBA Finals loss. AC says Reggie hugged every Pacer after the game. This morning, Pacers fans are heartbroken but grateful to the team. We've talked to many of them. News 8's Colin Bailey went to Gainbridge Fieldhouse and brings us some of the feelings people shared.
Yeah, I would say sadness, gratitude for this team, and just a sense of how proud the city is to rally around the Pacers this entire playoff run. People were filled with mixed emotions as they walked out of Gainbridge Fieldhouse and out of the bars here in downtown Indy last night. But a sellout crowd was ready to celebrate Game 7 last night here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Also, like I mentioned, a lot of the bars here were packed in the heart of downtown. Fans told News 8 they are proud of this team in the way they fought, especially with the injury to Tyrese Haliburton. We caught up with some fans across downtown Indy after the final buzzer sounded. This is what they had to say about the season coming to an end.
Hate it, but we tried. We got the Game 7. Everybody was like, oh, we're not going to make it, but we made it. And, you know, better luck next time. It's going to be a next time. We learn from our mistakes. You know, sometimes you can't win them all.
Maybe next year, and I'm sorry for Tyrese and why we had to lose this game.
Hey, it was bittersweet, you know. They came out strong. I trusted they was going to handle it, you know. Had it not went the way it went in the first quarter, everybody see it. You know, they did their thing. I'm proud. Didn't nobody expect us to be here. We took OKC to 7 games. Didn't nobody expect that. They counted us out.
And as you can imagine, many fans are hoping for a celebration last night and also a championship parade, but we know obviously that's not going to happen with the Game 7 loss. That happened in Oklahoma City. But what's next for the Pacers and the Pacers fan base? We'll have to wait until they tip off again in October. So quite a while to hang our hats on this one. But for now, outside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, I'm Colin Bailey for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Fans and local teams are also reacting on social media. News 8's Brittany Noble brings us some of that reaction.
The Colts reposted the Pacers' broken-hearted post with blue hearts, and many others are also showing support for the Pacers. The Indianapolis Indians thank the Pacers for showing up for our city, saying, "We love you, Pacers, forever." Mayor Hogg said thank the Pacers and saying, "An incredible season and a historic playoff run. Thank you, Pacers. You made Indiana proud." On Instagram, Reggie Miller said, "I felt the gut punch to Pacer Nation, not only from the loss, but the loss of our fearless leader, Tyrese Haliburton. The man upstairs always has a master plan, and this too shall pass. I'm very grateful of the Pacers team for bringing so much pride, grit, and togetherness back to Indiana basketball. Masterful job on the sideline, Coach Rick Carlisle. And let's not forget about all the men and women who work in the front offices, who sacrifice a lot of their time to make things happen." On X, Senator Todd Young joined the conversation, writing, "With thrilling comebacks and total team effort, they inspired Hoosiers and made our state proud. Truly a team of champions. Get well, Tyrese Haliburton." Governor Mike Braun chimed in, adding, "Keep your heads up. You made your state proud." Then he said a bet is a bet, and told the governor of Oklahoma that some of Indiana's finest pork products are headed his way. I'll be checking social media throughout the morning as fans continue to react. I'm Brittany Noble for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Breaking news this morning. Police say 3 people were shot and wounded at Monument Circle early this morning. News 8's Hernan Gutierrez brings us the latest information.
IMPD tells us that 1 woman and 2 men were shot here on the Circle and are considered to be in stable condition at the hospital. It happened just before 2 this morning, a very different scene than what you're seeing behind me. Here's some video of that scene as soon as police responded earlier this morning. Because of the Pacers game last night, there were more emergency responders out and were able to get to the scene pretty quickly, according to IMPD spokesperson Drew Brown. While canvassing the scene, police found multiple bullets from both rifles and handguns. Police say that they detained multiple people and recovered 1 gun. I asked Officer Brown about whether any of the businesses on the Circle were damaged in the shooting.
It's unclear exactly at this time if any vehicles or buildings were struck. They'll be canvassing the area as well. And of course, if any business owners or anybody walking around happens to see any damage, of course, you always want to give us a call and let us know.
Right now, police believe that those people involved did know each other. They just weren't sure exactly how they knew each other before this incident broke out. Police also haven't said what led up to the shooting or if this was at all connected to crowds from the Pacers game. Right now, they say that this was an isolated incident and there isn't any danger to the rest of the public. Reporting downtown, I'm Hernan Gutierrez for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Now to the Middle East. Israel says it's hit more Iranian targets in a series of new missile strikes this morning. American forces hit 3 sites in Iran over the weekend. Julia Benbrook reports from the White House that it's not clear yet how much damage the U.S. attacks did.
President Donald Trump announced that the United States attacked 3 key nuclear facilities in Iran.
Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror.
During his White House address following Operation Midnight Hammer, with Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth standing behind him, Trump warned that the U.S. could launch more strikes.
If peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill.
While the president says Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been, quote, completely and totally obliterated, a full impact assessment is still ongoing.
Final battle damage will take some time, but initial battle damage assessments indicate that all 3 sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction.
Trump's senior officials have repeatedly said the mission was not about a regime change in Iran. But in a post Sunday evening, Trump alluded to the possibility, writing, quote, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change?"
Also on Sunday, the United Nations Security Council met for an emergency meeting to discuss the escalating situation in the Middle East. Part of the council's stated goal is to maintain international peace and security while taking the lead in determining if there is a threat to that peace. A UN source tells CNN that Iran requested that meeting. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Our political team is tracking the fallout and possible retaliation for America's weekend strikes on Iran. The strikes dominated the discussion on Sunday's episode of All Indiana Politics.
Some would say that his actions that he took in Iran is doing just that, making sure that we don't have a World War III. However, a lot of Republicans and conservatives are very concerned because we were told back in March of 2025 by the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, that there wasn't any nuclear weapons in Iran. And during that annual threat assessment, that they hadn't had the uranium necessary to reach the levels for nuclear weapons. But now, all of a sudden, when Israel and Iran are into it, now all of a sudden, we are a target of possible nuclear weapons. And it just seems a little too much of a coincidence for a lot of Republicans. Now, he did enact Article 2, which he does have the right to do, and he did notify Congress based on the war power actions. But a lot of people are wondering if a retaliation happens, does this drag us into another war?
Dana, how surprised should we be that President Trump ordered the strike, and how might this change the debate over how the U.S. supports Israel?
I actually am extremely surprised that he went on ahead with the strike. And I would hate to reduce this action down to is just another lie. He lied and said that he wouldn't put us in forever wars. He literally criticized every president up until him about sending our country into war. And also he did it unilaterally without actually consulting Democrats. I understand why we say we don't want the Iranians to have nuclear capabilities, but sending our troops and dropping bombs on a country without actually consulting the entire government is anti-American. The fact that we are so polarized that we are willing to risk military lives and not actually talk to the entire body of our country that we elect is somewhat scary and problematic. I wish he would have at least consulted both sides of the aisle, and to suggest that we only need to govern with just one party is problematic for our country.
You can hear more discussions like that by tuning into All Indiana Politics every Sunday morning at 9:30 on Wish TV. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordeau. Watch us on Wish TV and wishtv.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.